Hey guys, again, we are back at Planet Fitness. Today, I want to do a video on spinal stenosis. Now, my credentials, I am a certified personal trainer. I have over 5,000 hours of working with people who have things like sciatica, spinal stenosis, fibromyalgia, things along that sort. And I'm also specialized in orthopedic exercise, corrective exercise, senior fitness, things like that. I have a little bit of knowledge in this area. I want to show you guys the top 6 exercises that I think you should begin with if you're wanting to start working out and you have spinal stenosis. Before we actually go in there, though, I do want to preface that I am not a medical professional. Always consult a medical professional, a doctor, a physical therapist, whoever, on certain types of exercises that you can and can't do before you start any exercise program, okay? But that out of the way, let's get into it. All right, so I'm going to start off talking like this. The most basic exercise that you can do for spinal stenosis is something called a pelvic tilt. Now, if you've been to physical therapy for spinal stenosis, this is something you might already be familiar with. But what I want to do is I want to start off with the most basic exercises, and then we can work our way up. I'm not going to give you guys too many. These are just going to be simple ones that you can do at a gym or at home if you have equipment like the dumbbell or anything like that, okay? So a pelvic tilt, all we're going to be doing is we're just going to be laying on our back like this, and we want to tuck our hips in. Okay, so we want to do this movement. Okay, I'm going to give you guys another example standing up. I know it's kind of hard to see when I'm laying down, so I'll transition to that. Standing up, it's going to be easier to see compared to laying down, but you want to do this exercise laying down. You don't want to do this standing up. I'm just going to show this as an example. So most people, when they have something called an anterior pelvic tilt, that means is that their hips tilt like this. So your abs are lengthened and your back is tightened like that. That makes the spinal stenosis worse. All right. So what you ideally want to do is you ideally want to even these hips out so they're more level instead of one way or the other. Okay. When you do this pelvic tilt exercise, you are just tilting your hips forward like this. Okay, so think of it like you're squeezing your butt cheeks and bringing your pelvis forward, bringing your hips forward like that. Okay, and the reason that you want to do this laying down is because it's very easy to activate other muscles when you're standing up. So think about when you're standing up, more likely to work your abs, squeeze your glutes, work your quads, compared to if you're laying down. You can really feel your back pressing into the floor, and that's what we want. Another kind of postural exercise that we can do to kind of work on feeling where our weak muscles are is something called a duck stance. So I'm gonna do another video where I'm gonna try and stand as far back as I can, so you can kind of see. We want to kind of point our feet outward like this. Okay, all you want to do, very easy, is you just want to squeeze your butt. Okay, squeeze your glutes, and you squeeze it, hold it about 5-10 seconds, and then release. This one is easy. You can kind of do about 5-10 repetitions of it, just so you can kind of feel the glutes contract. And when you start to add weight to certain exercises that are more glute dominant, you can feel where you should be feeling it. The thing with muscular analysis is we want to make sure that everything is as balanced as possible. Going back to the anterior pelvic tilt, right? Our hips are like this. They're like that. Our back is tight. Our glutes and abs are lengthened. Being able to strengthen our glutes is going to also help even those hips out a lot. Okay, before we get to the cables, I want to show you guys another glute exercise that we can do to strengthen. I'm sure you've seen this before. And again, if you've been to physical therapy, this is something you may already be familiar with. But these exercises are important. That's why they do them in physical therapy. So, sure you know this one. If you don't, it's okay. This is glute bridge, okay? So what you want to do is lift up your hips and come back down. What you really want to focus on is squeezing your glutes on the way up. You don't feel this in your glutes, doing that duck stance is really going to help you feel it more in your glutes, okay? So you want to do the duck stance before you do the glute bridge. ideal. This one, it's nice to do without weights, but of course, the stronger you get, the more you can add weight. You can add a dumbbell, you can add a plate onto it. There's different exercises that you can do where you can make it harder, of course, if you don't have things like a dumbbell or a plate or anything like that. The first exercise was kind of just us adjusting our posture a little bit, kind of focusing just more on the pelvic tilt aspect. Now we're actually going to start working our abdominal muscles. Really simple way that we can do that without worrying about doing any crunches, any rotations, any twists, anything like that is something called a suitcase carry. I grabbed a really light weight to show you guys. That's all they had back here. But think about when you carry a suitcase, a lot of people, they're like this. What we want to do instead is we want to keep ourselves straight like this. And why it's called a suitcase carry. So we're going to stand up straight like this. And we're just going to walk ourselves walking. All right. And then walk back and forth. Okay. So the key is that you don't want to be leaning towards the dumbbell. You want to stay tight. You can actually go pretty heavy with this. If this is your first time doing this kind of exercise, I would start light and work your way up. It's better to do that than start heavy and risk injuring yourself. We keep finding ourselves back on the mat, but it's because there's a lot of good exercises that we can do for spinal stenosis on the mat. The next one is called the dead bug. Is this for more advanced? I think it depends on the person. It could be for some people. Other people may already be very familiar with it. Okay. How this one is, you're like this. How this one is you're like this and do opposite leg, opposite arm. Just like that. You don't want to go fast like you're marching. You want to go really slow. The slower you go, the better it is. And you may feel some popping. I don't know if you can hear me popping. Try and do as many as you can your first time trying this within reason. So what I mean by that is if you can do 12 easily, then stick with 12. If you can do 15 easily, stick with 15. I wouldn't go above 20. But if you're able to do 20, you might be going too fast. I would try to work a little bit slower. That way you can really feel it in your core. See how we're starting off basic and then we're getting a little bit more and more advanced. This next one, you guys notice how we're starting off very beginner, very basic, and now we're getting a little bit more intermediate. We're using a cable. We're still kind of the same thing. We're not doing any rotations. What we're going to do is we're going to start here and we're just going to push out. Okay, and the more you push out, the more you're going to feel it in your abs, and it's going to go right back in like that. We're not doing any rotations. You want to start off light, and I want to rotate, right? But that's what makes it a workout. It's being able to just keep it right in the middle, right in the center, and do this exercise using weights like this, like the dumbbell, like the cables. You want to start with higher repetitions, something like 12, 15 repetitions, and stay at that ref range. You don't really want to go any higher than that, especially if you have something like spinal stenosis. Okay, guys, so those were 6 exercises. This wasn't a workout per se. Like I was telling you guys in the gym, it's really important that your abs and core are strong before you start actually doing a workout program. If you have spinal stenosis that's more advanced. If you do have spinal stenosis and you tried some of these workouts, or you're already familiar with some of these workouts because you went to physical therapy, let me know in the comments and let me know if they've personally helped you. If you're looking for a more structured workout plan, but you don't know where to start, there's some of my other exercise videos you can check out. But if you do have spinal stenosis, I would recommend booking a consultation with me before we start anything. So that way we know what your limitations are, how advanced it is, and what kind of modifications we may need. Thank you guys so much for watching the video.